It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast. Remember, we are not a real estate company, but we are here every morning, 7 days of your property information. We are that knowledge bank of plenty of real estate. Last year, very, very busy year. We have got another busy year ahead of us, and you might have been busy celebrating, of course, with your feet up, plenty of rest and relaxation over the Christmas New Year period. And today, unfortunately, that has all come to a halt because you're starting back first day today, Monday, January the 13th. If that is you, let's hope today doesn't drag too much. And in just a moment, we are back into the time tunnel. Yes, with the summer series of real estate. And we go back to September of last year.
You're listening to the Summer Series on the Real Estate Podcast.
Yeah, we have. Certainly. We've been through the best and the worst of it. Obviously, post-COVID, the market has certainly performed far greater than I think even, the more experienced pundits may have imagined. That's put some pressure on some of the availability that we have here in WA at the minute, but it's been good for investors.
Okay, so this article that I was catching up with from Domain, fewer than 2,000 houses available in the Perth metro area. This probably hasn't come as a surprise because this has been sort of going on for some time now, hasn't it?
Yeah, massive shortages here in WA, and I think a lot of that is, was driven by stimulus that came off the back of COVID from the government to get people into housing, and there was a massive oversupply of product sitting in the Perth market to be absorbed at that point, and a lot of that was eaten up through first home buyer activity, first time investor activity, mums and dads sort of getting off the couch, taking advantage of stimulus and construction industry at that time. It exceeded what the government thought that it was supposed to do, and the market just started to run away from itself.
Let's just sort of reflect for a moment here, Daniel, over the 2024 year. How would you sort of sum all of that up in terms of what's been happening in the market?
It's been fantastic. I mean, what we see here, particularly, being based on the West Coast is, we get a lot of traffic coming down from Singapore, Malaysia, people looking to relocate from the eastern states and other countries to take advantage of the employment that's here. So a lot of people moving into our state to taking advantages of jobs within the mining and the resource sector. But also, with post-COVID and in 2024, we've seen a resurgence now, a return of international students coming back into our universities. So it's a big country town, we call it. So it kind of feels as though in the last 2 or 3 years, this has really started to turn into a big international city.
What about the surprise if you look at 2024? What has been maybe one of the biggest surprises for you?
The biggest surprise for me was, just how quickly the supply, it wasn't, we knew that the house and land product was getting eaten up very, very quickly, but the apartment market has been the huge surprise for me. So quality apartment, dwellings being constructed in and around Perth Central Business District, for 5 to 10 kilometres from the CBD, those types of product, which typically we are a big house and land type. We love our land here in the West where, we're very spread out. Everyone loves their big 4 bedrooms and their 3 bathrooms and their 2-car garage homes. But it's the mixed use, the apartment living that surprised me the most with the type of product that's now being, brought to market.
Hi, Craig. Thank you so much for having me.
So lots of drama unfolding as people watch the 20th season of The Block. No doubt plenty of people coming in to have a little bit of a look around because this is the whole thing with The Block. It does attract plenty of eyeballs, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah, definitely. That's been always like a big attraction from their audience, such as on TV, and also, of course, lots of people curious what's actually happening in real life. So we're definitely seeing much more activity here.
Yes, well, of course, because you are there locally, you can actually see the finished article, which we won't talk about because the show at the moment is underway. But when that was first sold, that block, that site, I think they paid about $8.7 million, and you would have just watched the transformation, which, of course, has taken it to a whole new level.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually was a bit of a intrigue as well who purchased it, because it was operating as a resort, as I said. Like, it's always have quite a few guests coming and staying there as far as we know. Now, I think what the final product there, it will be completely different. It will be on the level of the block. I'm sure like your audience saw the previous season. So they do an absolutely luxury product at the end with a lot of super nice features. So, and I'm sure this year it will be again on the same level.
Now, let's talk about the locals there, particularly those sellers, those vendors, because lots of prospective vendors I am picking will be thinking, hey, there's a lot of attention here that is coming on to our area, which is going to bring more people into the area, and then the prices might go up. In fact, maybe even a little bit of a mini real estate boom for your area. Is it fair to actually state that that might be in the minds of prospective sellers?
Absolutely. So from the day one, when it was announced that the next block season will be on Phillip Island, I start having these conversations with almost every second prospective seller, pretty much asking me exactly the same question: is what's going to happen with the market? Are the prices going to increase? Are we going to have another boom? And of course, everyone's hoping on that, because the block will put Phillip Island on the map of real estate as well, for those who hasn't been here, who didn't know about it as a holiday destination. The reality, if we don't know, if we really want that being the case, there, of course, will be a lot of marketing activity. And of course, lots of people will find out about Phillip Island being a fantastic place to have a holiday house. We'll see how the things go after the auction.
The infrastructure is kind of pushing things along in terms of jobs in the area. The hospital is one to mention.
Yeah, that's right. So as you mentioned, is for the last 18 to 12 months, we, of course, also been affected, our market been affected by the rising interest rates, because we're mostly dealing with investors, so people who buy in holiday houses. But now we actually start noticing more activity from the buyers who are looking an owner-occupier home, because they see that, as you mentioned, one of the things is there's a new hospital coming, hopefully very soon. There's a new campus of the Wonthaggi Secondary College was opened in St. Remo, which is just before the bridge, before you go to the island. So infrastructure is developing, and that's actually a really great thing to bring more owner-occupiers to the area, which we like noticing. I think for the last few months, there's definitely that proportion between the buyers who just buy in the holiday houses and permanent residences that I believe changed a little bit.
All right. Well, it's going to be fascinating to see how everything unfolds on the block there. You'd be looking forward to the auction. Have you got any direct involvement with the Shears block?
Well, I don't think we can sort of disclose it at this stage, but what I can say is like definitely there's quite a few local agents involved and a few Melbourne agents as well. So, but I'm sure everyone will see it on the show very, very soon.
We are more than just a real estate podcast. Follow each week all of the main talking points and know your property.
Particularly at this time in the cycle, the last thing that somebody wants to be doing is over leveraging. And no doubt that's an area that you've seen that happen over and over again.
100%. And look, at buying a property in an emerging market is very important, and understanding the forward indicators. You mentioned population. What's the infrastructure spend? What's the employment in the area? What's the diversity of employment? Is it more than one or two sectors? All these things are very, very important. Every second person on the internet's an expert, been in real estate. But as I mentioned previously, What's their proven track record with their client success stories, with being able to advise? What are the forward indicators? Where should people be investing? What's their correct net disposable income they should be considering? All these things are very important factors when looking at real estate.
There are many suburbs out there which we are constantly talking about. I know there is one suburb that fits this mould, especially for you, Chris, and that is Melton, which is a suburb on the outskirts of Melbourne. The suburb is located 47 k's west of Melbourne CBD on the city's western rural urban fringe. Now, they have at the minute rapid population growth, and I think you want to talk to the fact there's a $1 billion hospital project and a $2 billion business park underway. Are these the sorts of locations that you get especially excited by?
Well, look, I get excited where there's a lot of infrastructure being spent. Like, as we said before, infrastructure is such a key driver when it comes to creating jobs, when it comes to creating value for real estate. And obviously with so much, $3 billion, as we mentioned, on those two sectors, and it's a diversity of two different sectors, that's going to really drive property prices and demand in areas such as Melton.
So just talk to the actual growth of that particular suburb, because it seems that this fits as I said, it fits the mould that it's further enough away from the CBD, 47 k's, the buy-in price obviously lower, and the attraction factor happening all at the same time.
Well, again, with everything, you've heard the term many times, location, location, location. I've coined a term what I use, affordability. I believe you'll always make money in real estate if you can keep it for the right amount of time. So making sure you don't over leverage, you buy the right property, which is a vehicle to achieve your wealth through investing, is very, very important, because that first property or subsequent properties is so important to not over leverage, so you can make sure that you can afford those properties to buy a second, third, fourth, fifth, and really build your property portfolio. So areas like Melton is very good entry-level stock for people getting into the market or just expanding their property portfolios.
Mate, I love Hervey Bay. We started going up to Hervey Bay a number of years back, actually, for business. It's beautiful. Love the weather, love the people. It's a great place.
The reason that we're talking to you this morning is the development of the Sheraton Resort in Hervey Bay. This has been approved by the Fraser Coast Regional Council, and you're the developer there, Sunny Beach Land. You're gearing up to commence construction. It's been described a little bit as a controversial 18-storey 5-star resort. It is the largest of its kind north of Brisbane, so it's pretty significant. I mean, there's 200 hotel rooms and approximately 340 residential units, supported by conference facility, retail food and drink, and also recreation facilities. $450 million. You'd be very happy that you got this finally across the line.
Very happy, mate. Very, very happy. The general consensus and feedback from the local community is that they wanted it. There's quite a bit of research going on still as we speak now, even after we've got the approval, that the community are after this. They want it to occur. They want what it brings to the community as far as a bit of further activity from tourism, what it does for jobs. Great outcome for the town, and obviously a great outcome for us as well as developers. So it's, it's a win-win.
And in terms of jobs, this is pretty significant. 1,100 jobs locally during the construction and around 350 ongoing positions once the hotel opens. I mean, it's a bit of a boom for Hervey Bay. There's already, and we've talked about it on the podcast with Scott, just in terms of how many construction projects are underway, admittedly not as large as this, but it's a win for Hervey Bay on so many different levels, Dan.
Look, it shows that Hervey Bay's in business. One of the things that concerned us a little bit was leading up to the approval is that it may not get approved. And when you look at Australia as a whole as an investment opportunity, and you see Hervey Bay sitting there as a diamond in the rough, I'm going to call it, because it has so much opportunity, and it's a fantastic place as it is, but from an investment perspective, it has so much opportunity, and yet we felt that the feedback that we were getting from that it may not get approved from the the councillors, we're actually a bit disappointed. We've got other developments around the place. And when I was talking to one of the economic development managers for one of the larger cities in Australia, they asked me to come down there and they said, we'll pay you to bring the project down here. And here we are at Hervey Bay, where we had a lot of pushback along the way. Having said that, I think that the group of councillors that are in there at the moment, I think the bulk of them were very, very supportive of it. Obviously, we got it up, so the majority voted for it. However, I think there was a few more there that were actually supportive of it, but were sort of wanting some level of compromise. Part of that compromise, obviously, was the height. So, look, it will certainly bring other investment into the area, which is super important for the growth of the town. There's a lot of youth that actually leave the area because there are no jobs and they're looking for jobs. So hopefully this is the start of many more developments, not necessarily hotel developments, but just investment into the town that will ease that and will allow the youth to prosper and stay in town.
Yeah, one of the things that we talk about on the podcast is the numbers sort of making sense for developers. And we have had so many comments about the numbers in this climate just not actually adding up. And we're talking about significantly smaller projects than your $450 million Sheraton resort. You no doubt know a lot of developers that just get sort of stuck in either the approval side or the dollars and cents, like I say, just don't add up.
Yeah, the construction costs in Australia have increased significantly over the years. They went through a huge growth of, or impact on the development in the before the GFC, and then after the GFC it sort of settled down, but then the access to funding was harder and the opportunities were harder. And then once we've sort of moved out of that phase and we're in the phase at the moment, there's plenty of opportunity. However, the cost of construction does put limits on things. To add to that, you've obviously in southeast Queensland, there's a lot of infrastructure and a lot of money being spent from the government because of the Olympics as well. So that sort of puts a little bit of additional pressure on the construction industry.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.